How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? What's the real truth about Citizen Kane?
It'll probably turn out to be a very simple thing.
Hey everybody, we hope you're doing well. I'm Parker.
And I'm Max.
And welcome back to another episode of Better Than Citizen Kane, the highly subjective show where we look at a movie and ask that titular question. Because when every movie ever made is a reasonable contender for the title of greatest film of all time, you have to wonder, better than Citizen Kane.
So, stop yourself from going gun mode and get some laxative in that milkshake, because this week we're joined by a very special guest to discuss a very special film, my dad, Dave Bennion, and The Iron Giant, respectively, in that order. It's not the film My Dad, Dave Bennion, with the guest, The Iron Giant. It's quite... Although, The Iron Giant is here!
He's here.
Yeah, for those not watching, my dad has this wonderful... Is that Mondo? Is it a Mondo vinyl figure?
Yeah.
It's a Mondo vinyl of the Iron Giant. He looks great. He's
Very
there.
cool.
He's with us. The Iron Giant is here with us in the room. Dad, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'll admit I'm a little nervous.
Oh, you're gonna do great.
I've never done a podcast before. I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh, we're thrilled to have you.
I hope this goes okay.
I think it will.
It's gonna be great.
And
it's gonna be great.
you listen to a lot of podcasts, so you're not coming without any experience or knowledge.
Right.
You're well versed.
My dad has always been very supportive of me doing podcasts, and as we talked about doing a podcast, and instead I ended up doing one with Parker. So, but this is great. I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm excited to talk about The Iron Giant. This is technically your pick. You threw out some options when I said, "Do you want a guest?" And you said yes, and I said, "What do you think about talking about?" And we threw out some options. You love Amelie. We love Scott Pilgrim, but we chose The Iron Giant. And after doing research, I found that there's honestly some credence to talking about this in conversation with Kane. There's some similarities in the production. For instance, they cut holes in the floor. No, not really. It's about American fascism in the 40s. No. But we all have, I imagine, my dad and I have very personal histories with this movie. Mm-hmm. And the reason I was so excited for you to come on for this one, Dad, is because did you see this in theaters when it came out?
Yes, we did.
Okay. What was that like?
I can't remember it that well, other than I'm pretty sure we went with the Bennions, and I think Abby got scared.
Okay,
Max's
my
older
sister,
Abby.
Yeah.
A few years older, and she got scared. And I think I had to take her out at one point, or was that you? I can't remember.
It wouldn't have been me, because if it was in theaters, I wouldn't have been born yet.
Right. But did we ever see it in theaters when you were little, or was it always just...
Only when I was 16. So maybe I got really scared when I was 16. You had to take me out.
I had to take Max out at 16.
Yeah, but
He's sensitive.
Yeah, I am. It's true. No, my scary movie in theaters that I remember being taken out of was Prisoner of Azkaban. That's like one of my earliest movie-going experiences is the Dementor on the train when I was like 4.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, that's okay. That's cool. That's cool. I'm over it. But do you remember anything about, like, because rather famously, we'll get into this movie didn't have a lot of promotion. So how do you think you heard about this? Like, how can you guess if you don't remember?
That's a good question. I probably heard about it just, I don't know. I always picked up like Rolling Stone or Spin or whatever, entertainment magazine. Mm-hmm. Especially at that time. What year is this? This is
99. Yeah, August 99.
Yeah, so I'm working at Barnes & Noble in August 99. So I get access to a lot of magazines. But I just remember reading about it, and somebody had written something that just kind of sparked my interest. I'm like, oh, this sounds really cool. Yeah. I didn't know who Brad Bird was, or this is pre-Incredibles, right?
Yeah, this is his first film.
Yeah. So it's like, again, no internet really.
Right.
I mean, we had some in 99, but not like we do now. And so, yeah, I don't know. My older brother always calls me, he's like a media maven, because I just always kept up on everything. And I don't know. Sometimes I think that's more of sometimes a hindrance than anything. It's a lot of pressure. But back then, especially, you just kind of kept up on everything: movies, music. Especially working at Barnes and Noble, we got a lot of stuff. So
yeah,
that's most likely how I heard about it.
That makes sense. That would make sense. Parker, I suppose you are older than me.
True.
Would you have seen this in theaters?
I don't think I would have. This was not one I grew up with. I didn't see this until much later. Probably high school, junior high, maybe. It was not a childhood watch for our family at all. And I think it was just one of those that it was probably due in part to the lack of advertising at the time. You know, my family missed it when it came out. And then from there, we were pretty squarely like a Disney animated film, family. And so because of that, like the furthest left field of that we would do is like, Quest for Camelot, something like that.
Interesting that you would bring up Quest for Camelot. That will come up in the research as well.
Can't wait.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think for me, it's just so hard. I guess I just grew up assuming that everyone knew this movie.
A lot of people do. Like,
yeah,
I think I'm an outlier in that regard.
But I do think also, like, especially early, like in the immediate aftermath of release of it, I think over time it has accrued more acknowledgement and more, viewers and more fans over the last, 25 years, 25 years, 26 years. But I also think like early on, it must have been like still kind of slow going.
Sure. Cause like
right?
what I do remember around this conversation was I recall when The Incredibles came out, my family watched it and loved it, but I knew that there was some friction with like some of our neighbors because some of them were, very religious people and had a problem with the fact that Brad Bird had worked on The Simpsons. And so they didn't trust The Incredibles. And then that became like, I would guess that by extension, it became as like, well, other Brad Bird movies you need to watch out for because they're always going to have that kind of edge. But, they're cosplaying his family films. Which is interesting. I don't know if that I have no clue if my parents subscribed to that. Again, we watched The Incredibles. It wasn't a problem, but
yeah, a world I cannot grasp of like, well, this guy was an animator on The Simpsons, therefore his movies are wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, it was a very strange cultural conversation I remember growing up around.
Yeah, I mean, his animated films have an edge, like Ratatouille less so, I suppose, but like Iron Giant and Incredibles both deal with fairly, large topics. The Incredibles opens with an attempted suicide in a news montage, He didn't ask to be saved. So there is kind of that. I mean, it is interesting looking in, I just watched The Giant's Dream, which is a 2016 making of documentary about the making of the Iron Giant. And one of the main points that one of the animators says is when he met with Brad Bird was, dropping the F word and talking about like, yeah, we're going to stand up Disney and say, fuck you. Like, we're going to make a movie the way we want to make it. And he was like, I want to work with this bastard. Like, this guy knows what he's about. And it honestly reminds me of Tim Burton in a way, another, the family favorite of ours growing up, right, Dad? Like, we watched a lot of Burton films. But like they both grew up idolizing Disney animators, get there at a time when, the animation department is dying. Like all the old guys, all the like the classic masters are retiring and Disney is failing truly. And like, it's becoming kind of a trashy commercial place to work. And kind of that spirit of magic is kind of leaving. And so they're both kind of these like they both immediately kind of, when they leave Disney, they're dealing with like these post-Disney like faith crises of sorts of like, well, now I have to go make my own stuff and I'm going to make it my way and I'm going to do it this way. And Brad Bird coming out of that, it has a real axe to grind, which I didn't really, my dad and I, we saw this in theaters in 2016 there was like a re-release with this, I believe this documentary or parts of it were attached to that theatrical release. And it had some deleted scenes that were complete. The Giant's Dream, the deleted scene. Parker, have you seen that deleted scene?
I believe I have, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I believe they completed that for this re-release. And
well, which version did you watch of the film? Do you know?
Well, the version that we watched for the pod in theaters, you mean?
No, just for this. Yeah.
Oh, for this, it's like a special edition from before then. There's a signature edition from 2015.
I think I watched the signature edition, which has the dream in it.
Oh, really? It does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. Okay, the signature edition just has it in there.
We can watch that after, Max, because I bought the signature edition on Amazon.
Oh, great.
on a streaming service.
On a streaming platform.
Wow.
Great. Okay, yeah, no, that's great. Anyway, I remember seeing parts of this documentary there, but yeah, watching this, just before recording, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that he had such an axe to grind. Mm-hmm. Which is how a lot of our, filmmakers kind of got their start. Yeah. A fair number. Yeah, I mean, okay, do we want to go into research a little more? Does it feel like a good segue into that?
I think so.
Okay.
I feel like we've covered our histories.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is fascinating to me. So this is at a time, this is like early to mid 90s is when the Disney Renaissance kicks off, right? Mm-hmm. At this point, Brad Bird he got to Disney, basically got let go because he was, being a real thorn in their side about a lot of things of like, can't we do it this way? And can't we do it like they used to? And they basically let him go. And he didn't really know what he was going to do. And then his sister took her own life with a gun, which is a major kind of influence on this production for him. Mm-hmm. And so the Simpsons they recruit him, and that kind of saves him from this limbo period of mourning that and not being sure what to do. He just lost his job at the place he thought he wanted to work from when he was 14. And when he was 14, he had finished animating his own short film, sent it to Disney, and they offered him an internship, which they had not offered the likes of really before in this way. But that's what he wanted to do. And so he came out of that feeling very dejected. He's suffered this terrible loss in his life, and the Simpsons recruits him, and he's an animator on the Simpsons for a while. And then from there, I can't remember the exact detail. They kind of breeze over it, but he gets brought on for this project that in the mid-90s, all the studios are seeing what's happening for Disney, and they go, well, we should all get into the animation game. There's this animation boom in the mid-90s, and Warner Brothers is one of those. But so is... Goldwyn. I believe. Yeah. So Goldwyn's there, and they recruit, that's what it is. They recruit Brad Bird, and he's going to make his film Ray Gun with 2 N's, 2 words, first name, last name, Ray Gun. He's going to make that with them. Warner Brothers buys them up, and then that kind of kills that project. But they're like, well, we have this other project going on, which was an adaptation of Ted Hughes's book, The Iron Man. Mm-hmm. No relation to the, the triathlon or the comic book character or the song, I imagine. But it was going to be an animated musical featuring music by Pete Townsend from The Who, which is just like such a mid-90s animated film decision.
Yeah.
Right? Like at that time, are the Who together in the 90s? What's going on there? Has Pete Townsend still working then?
Pete Townsend did do some solo albums, but the Who probably reunited sometime in the 90s, because that was kind of like when the Grateful Dead came back, and there was always, all these people coming back and like getting these neo-hippie types.
Right, like 60s revival.
The Who, like I went and saw Crosby, Stills and Nash. I guess that was in the late 80s. But like, yeah. I think the Who was kind of around, but Townsend, I don't know. He's an interesting guy. It doesn't surprise me that he would find something like that.
Yeah,
it is very much of the era. My favorite version of that is the first pass on Emperor's New Groove, which was Kingdom of the Sun, and it was a musical with music all written by Sting, and it's just it's fascinating. Like it's just such a curious little what almost could have been.
Which is like, I mean, Tarzan is like the Disney ultimate version of that. We're like, let's just get a guy and have him do. It doesn't even have to be a musical. He'll just do music for the movie.
Music for it, yeah.
But this is going to be a musical. And Brad Bird comes on, and he immediately learns a little bit more about Ted Hughes' book. He was the English poet laureate, Ted Hughes. his wife was Sylvia Piat, who had also he was inspired to write that book when she took her own life. And so Bird is like kind of learning about this, and he finds kind of a piece of connection to this material, and he's kind of in this he's thinking about all this, ruminating on all this, and he goes, oh well, what if a gun had a soul and didn't want to be a gun? Like, that's kind of where that comes from. It's taking these kind of heavier aspects from, you know, the origins of the story initially and what he's bringing to it. And he basically goes into a meeting, and without running his new pitch by the development execs, just kind of goes into this, and he goes, here's what I think we should actually do. And he's like, it's set in the 50s, Cold War. Like, you know, Dean isn't in the book. In the book, the mom isn't single, she's married. Like, all these things, like, there's not a government man. Like, all of these things are things that Bird adds as part of his pitch. And he's like, here's what I think we should do. We should do all this. Because, like, why would we do a musical when Disney does musicals? They do the fairy tale shit. Like, we can just be like Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers does different stuff. We can do PG, you know? Like, the way he talks about PG, like he's proposing a hard R film. But he's like, well, what if we make it PG? And, you know, much to their credit at the time, Warner Brothers is like, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, go ahead, do that. And very interesting as well, because obviously in the early 2000s, you get DreamWorks really leaning into, well, let's do the opposite of Disney. But, like, that's what Brad Bird's trying to do here with Warner Brothers, is like, we can do more, you know, kind of complex ideas than what Disney is doing. And I mean, it's obviously also kind of fueled by a grudge against that company, but it's a decent idea. They are given a third of the budget and half the time of a typical animated feature. So, like, Tarzan at the time is going into production at the same time, going to be released in 1999 as well. They start a whole year before Iron Giant does. And so they basically get 2.5 years instead of 5. Like, and also a lot of the top talent at the time was taken by Disney and DreamWorks. So Brad Bird is working with new artists, young artists, and old retired artists. Like, anyone that no one else wanted. This becomes like a rebel crew with not a lot of experience. Like, there's a few old guys there, but, like, it's mostly entirely young and new artists who have never done this before. Like Jeffrey Lynch, who was the head of story, had never been story head before. And so it's an entirely inexperienced crew, and they're in this race against budget and time. But Brad Bird is, like, going into this being like, I know we can stand up against Disney. And there's this quote of him, like, there's this clip of him talking to the team and being like, we're just going to tell Disney, like, we're fucking here, deal with us. And, like, the idea of this being, like, a full-on punk production is really interesting to me. Yeah. Of, like, this fairly soft, you know, I mean, it's got heavy things, but it's this very tender, emotional film. And they're like, fuck you. And I think that's really funny. The first thing that they really run into is, like, Brad Bird didn't like the sketches from the early stages of production. There's all these different sketches of, like, early forms of The Giant when it was going to be this animated musical with Pete Townsend music. And he doesn't like any of them. So he actually went to Joe Johnston, the director, who he did. When does The Rocketeer come out, Parker?
Rocketeer is
right around this time, right?
5, I want to say. Let's see.
Yeah.
It might even be a little earlier. It might be like 91.
93?
Let's see.
91 sounds right.
91. Yep.
Yeah. So this is, like, several years after The Rocketeer. He goes to Joe Johnston and is like, can you just, like, do... And Joe Johnston did, like, you know, production design stuff for the original Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah.
And he's like, can you just do a quick design for us? And so Joe Johnston did, and he kind of, you know, he hears what Brad's saying about the giant being kind of innocent and childlike, and that's what he aims for. And then from there, Mark Whiting kind of takes it from there and really spins it off into what we know and love and is currently on camera, The Iron Giant. But, like, truly, does this movie work at all if the giant doesn't look like this specifically?
I doubt it. I mean, like, looking at it from a intertextual standpoint, it's interesting to hear that Joe Johnston was involved, because it absolutely has that Art Deco vibe that he's got in a lot of his work. It also reminds me a ton of the robots in the Max Fleischer Superman cartoons from, like, the 30s.
Sure.
Like those flying men, which they cop that design and stick it straight in Sky Captain of the World of Tomorrow. Like they're just very influential giant flying robots, and there's a lot of that DNA here, I think. But it's one of those things. There are other movies that none of them are coming to mind right now, but like there are films that live or die by the character design for a main or titular character like this. The only one my brain is reaching right now, which I think still works, is like if Toothless doesn't work in How to Train Your Dragon, you're done. It's sunk, right? Like if you can't find that, then there's not a movie. And I think you're right. I think absolutely if you can't land the giant, then it's not going to work.
Yeah. I don't know, Dad, what are your thoughts on the giant's look?
I was just thinking the other one the other one that it made me think of was the Hero 6, or what's it called?
Oh, Big Hero 6, Baymax.
Yeah. Like that's a character that can show a lot of emotion through body language. I think what's cool about the Iron Giant is just through that face, the eyes can be so expressive yet so simple. And to me, that's part of like the magic. Like he looks kid friendly. Like Hogarth is initially afraid of him because he's so big, but then he gets to know him, right? And you can just see this character come to life, even though he's a gun or a robot, right? Yeah. And to me, that's really part of the magic of this character. And same with Big Hero 6. That character became so lovable for a lot of kids, right? Because it's just so expressive when it's deflated or when it's puffed up. But
and so simple too. No, I mean that's basically what I asked. I mean, there's so much life in the eyes of like just making them lit up and having like irises that can like close around it, or even doing, the lids. There's a lot of expression, but especially they highlight the jaw and how it can move up and down to give him a smile, to give him all these different things. And honestly, Parker, it's making me think of when we talked about Transformers 1 earlier this year, and like, how do you make a metal face expressive? Yeah. And obviously, that film just goes for like kind of a flexible, fleshed like metal. But the Iron Giant, I think, is really impressive for the fact that it's basically like 4 or 5 moving parts that can just do different things that allow him to be so expressive, I feel. Yeah. I mean, kind of knock it out of the park a little bit. It's interesting though, something about the production on this is that they spent a lot of time in storyboarding, as Brad Bird said. So like, what mistakes are affordable when you're storyboarding. So like if they, especially with such a tight budget and such a tight turnaround, if you get halfway through actually like fully producing a scene and then realize like, oh, we shouldn't do that. Like for example, the deer scene, initially the giant was just going to get too excited and crush the deer. And they found that through storyboarding it over and over again, just being like, it puts him in too down of a place. Like it's too depressive of a moment for him to come back from in the amount of time that we have. And that's what eventually leads them to like, well, if we have a hunter, then we can have the gun. He can see the gun. We can set that up. But also when they're doing story reels. So with animation, Parker, do you want to talk about, you wanted to be an animator for a time?
I mean, it's basically that like in the world of animation, you don't usually have a screenplay in the traditional sense of what we know it to be. You have what starts as a story treatment, which is basically just like a 20 to 30 page document that is just detailing exactly what happens scene to scene, without the dialogue. It's basically a script without the dialogue. It's all the action beats written out in order, and then you allude to what people are talking about. Then from there, you do a story treatment, which is basically you just board the whole movie. You get these giant, huge, back in the day at least, they would have these huge cardboard sheets, and they would pin individual storyboards to that. And then you could move them around any which way you wanted. A lot of the time they'd be color-coded. They'd have little highlighter marks in the corner so you knew when a scene started and ended, and then could take that scene and move it somewhere else. But those storyboards, at the bottom is where you would write the dialogue. And then in a story meeting, you'd sit down with all the animators and the producers and the people of the story department, would get up and act out the movie, essentially. They would stand and they'd have a pointer and they'd point to the storyboards and they'd say the dialogue and they'd act out the action if they needed to. And that's essentially how this worked in that period of time.
Yeah, and then at a certain point, once the storyboard's all there, they would like photograph every single storyboard frame, right? And then kind of run that together as like a rough animatic of what the film was going to look like, right?
It's very early previs.
Yes. And so what's interesting is that Andrew Jimenez, who was working on the movie, he's the one who's like, well, what if let me just take some of our things here and just run it through here. And he uses After Effects and like animates the stuff. And basically, like he says, I wasn't grasping at the time that we were pioneering a new way to pre-visualize your movie. But this is one of the early, I don't know if it's the first, but it's an early example of using After Effects to give motion to this, creating basically a fully watchable version of a story reel that isn't just like still image of your storyboard going. It's like it allowed them to explore what it would look like with rough animation before entering full-on production on it, which I thought was kind of interesting, that like this is early After Effects, early use of like computerization of kind of classic animation techniques, right?
Yeah.
Which also allows them to move a little quicker. They also, so with the Giant, Bird knew very early on that he wanted the Giant to be computer generated or computer animated, because he felt that it's a lot easier for a computer to maintain hardness and weight than it is for a human to maintain that over the course. And he also talks about how in other 2D movies of the time, they have 2D and 3D animation paired together, and it looks like they're from two different worlds. Yeah. And so he was like, well, if we just apply that to the one character who is from another world, then that's a good way to do it. And I think, Dad, when the movie started the other day, we watched it, we were like, oh, like this is maybe the best use of 3D animation in a 2D animated film. Right? We were talking about that. And kind of like, why does it work so well? And I think that's part of why. I mean, are there other candidates for best? I mean, Treasure Planet has that robot arm that the guy has, which is pretty great.
But that's 4 years later, 5 years later after this. So like, it is for the time period, it's already impressive. But yeah, I mean, it usually is so clunky and so obvious, and like I get it, because when you have something that has a lot of complexity to it, if you have something that you need to animate that has to have machinery, happens a lot this way because it has rivets and bolts and divots and all these things that like 2D animating, you have to keep all of that in perspective, and it's a nightmare. It's the reason that Squash and Stretch exists, is not only does it give life to your characters, but it also helps hide a lot of your mistakes, right? And you can't have that with something that's supposed to be rigid and hard. And so you see a big shift in like, okay, things that are mechanical and things that are big will be this way. And they're not very well integrated because of that reason. They haven't quite figured out how to comp them properly. And here I think that using it to create that kind of alienness is right. But as for examples that do it well, I like Treasure Planet's use of it. Atlantis does something interesting where they start with this. The giant robots in that, they start CG and then they trace over the top of them. They rotoscope them essentially and then bring them back into being 2D drawings. But yeah, it's a tough thing to pull off, and they do a good job with it here. And
Bird is very aware of that, and so they actually, he and his crew intentionally created a program that introduced imperfections into the line work so that the Giant would feel hand drawn, which was very hard, he said, because you're telling a computer to create imperfections. But like, I think it does come down to a lot of just the line work on the Giant makes him look like he's part of the world in a way. Like, I think it's just really well done. It's as simple as, I guess you could just put it that way.
For me, it was, once I remembered, or Max told me that, the robot's 3D, nothing else is. But it made me realize it's like, but they simplify, and maybe this influenced the design, I'm not sure, but it seems like it would be easier, but maybe it's harder. Just the simplification of the robot in certain areas, especially with the face. But then, like, when it does its full gun mode, it felt, to me, it was reminding me of like Akira. Like, it was really complicated lights, and like, it just, I don't know, there's something really cool about how they can change the whole robot and feel the whole robot in that moment.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, it's just, he's 3D, but he doesn't feel 3D. Really, to me, he doesn't. But it's, I don't know, it's very interesting. Was Lilo and Stitch were the spaceships 3D?
The spaceships are 3D in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the one I came to mind too. When we were talking about that. But I don't know. I can't, it's so seamless. You wouldn't even necessarily notice it unless you knew that he was 3D. That's the way it kind of feels to me. But
this is earlier, and you can feel it when you look at it, but like, this is the top spot for me in that regard. And the only thing that kind of comes close of like utilizing the uncanniness of the effect to what you're trying to do thematically is the Great Mouse of Minsk in American Tail. That's rotoscoped, and it looks super uncanny and weird when you look at it. And it's supposed to be terrifying. And it is. It's really scary, this thing.
It's wild how I haven't seen that movie in 15 years, maybe, probably more. And you saying that name, I don't even remember what it looked like, but it elicited a fear from deep within me.
Yeah, it's I don't spooky know, to look at. And
I'm I don't remember what that is exactly, but I know to fear it.
I know to fear that name. Yeah, but like it's another example, I think, of like utilizing the uncanniness of your animation technique to your advantage thematically, which is, I don't know. I wish people did it more, I think, because it works really well here.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
You just look up a picture of it.
I did. I hated this thing.
Yeah, he's scary, man.
Man, should I rewatch American Tail?
American Tail slaps. American Tail is so good.
I believe it.
But we're not talking about American Tail. We're talking about the Iron Giant.
It's the same feeling as the shark in James and the Giant Peach. That thing freaked me out too. Yeah. These weird mechanical nightmares from animated films.
I didn't like the rhino in James and the Giant's Peach. That scared me.
The rhino is scary too.
The rhino is scary.
I mean, speaking of the Giant, it's talking about robots in animated films. Castle in the Sky.
Yeah. There's
I would be surprised if there wasn't some level of influence here.
Yeah.
Well, there had to be, because I know that, like, obviously times were very different with how imports worked at the time, but I know for a fact that, like, there was a copy of Castle of Cagliostro being passed around the Disney lot in the 80s and 90s. Like, the animators loved this. Like, the entire finale of Great Mouse Detective, Inside the Clock, is an ode to Cagliostro, because the directors saw that movie and they're like, man, this is so cool. This is rad. We gotta do that.
That's rad. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, production was rough. Producer Alison Abade and director Brad Bird didn't really get along. She was under a lot of pressure from the creative side and the studio side. There's a moment they pull from the 2001 behind the scenes like interviews where they're like, what was it like working with Brad Bird? And Allison is like, give me a second. She's like, this is a hard question to answer. And they're like, just, and she was like, because I hated working with Brad Bird. It's like wild to see, like, this is 2001, like this is for the home release.
Yeah.
And like, clearly there was probably an agreement. It was like, we'll cut that out. But I think it's very impressive that they put that into this, 15 years later documentary. Yeah. So they really didn't get along. Brad Bird seems to be very particular as a director, to the point that when deadline was fast approaching, he began openly critiquing his animators by projecting frames and giving notes in front of everyone in the room, which was fairly unheard of at the time. But he felt, he said, like, I know it's embarrassing, but you got to get over this. And then some of the animators are like, yeah, I mean, it helped to unify everybody. And like, Bird's thinking is like, well, if everyone's looking at what everyone else is doing and we're seeing each other's weaknesses, we're also able to share our strengths together and kind of pool together and really kind of give advice to each other than if we were all working individually.
So it wasn't to unify their hate for Brad Bird.
Maybe.
See, because when I heard that, I was like, nothing unites people like a good enemy.
Yeah, Brad Bird was like, I have to be a martyr for these people. For my movie, I have to make everyone hate me.
So
yeah, I mean, it probably wouldn't have hurt. In the middle of all this, Quest for Camelot, Warner Brothers' first animated film, comes out and bombs hard. Really hard, to the point that immediately Warner Brothers begins rethinking having an animation division.
But it should have made them think, hey, we should put all of our money into doing just an entire division of Warner Brothers that makes classical pieces for opera, because the prayer from that movie is huge. Like, that goes over big.
Really?
Yeah, that was written for Quest for Camelot, and like it's been sung by everybody, like people love that song. Josh Groban's done it, Celine Dion's done it, like and nobody knows it's from that movie.
So it's kind of the Sunshine score that gets used in trailers and movies all the time. Or the Smash Mouth All-Star being from Mystery Men, but Shrek gets to claim it.
Right.
It's kind of like that.
It's kind of like that. Yeah.
Okay. I understood you correctly and perfectly.
Yeah, you got it. You followed.
So Warner Brothers starts eyeing the exit. And basically the entire production enters this mode of like, if we can make something really cool before they turn off the lights, then we have run of the place. Like, we can do whatever we want. Yeah. Which is how this movie also, I feel like that's a common story in filmmaking, is this director was able to do whatever they wanted, and the movie came out better for it. Yeah. So in November of 1998, the film's almost complete, and Warner Brothers has still set no release date. And like, this is really strange, because even by that point, like Tarzan, Disney had announced Tarzan a year before it came out. And we're putting posters out, and like animated films especially usually have this massive marketing push of like toys, Happy Meals, like promotion, all this stuff, and none of this is happening. Warner Brothers hasn't done a single thing, seemingly because they don't have faith in this, right? They've basically already given up on animation completely. This is just kind of the last project that's still in development that so long as the film isn't draining them too much, then it is allowed to continue, basically. So they're basically operating as quietly as they can, getting away with it, whatever they want, but there's no promotion for the movie. So in a desperate attempt, a rogue crew member leaks a rough cut of the film to Ain't It Cool News, which was the go-to movie website at the time. Yep. And someone who used the screen name Moriarty over there. His actual name is like James McWeeny or something. I'm fairly certain that's his name. You can look it up. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure that's the name I saw up on the screen. But he watches it and is like, this is an unfinished version, and I'm weeping at the end. And so he leaves this great review of like, this is one of the finest American animated films ever made. So Bird is pissed. I might
have read that.
That was kind of what I was thinking as well. Is like, maybe that came through to you. Yeah.
Because I did check out that website a lot. So
okay, I bet that was it then. That's that probably put it on your radar for sure. Yeah. So Bird was pissed by this, but it did get the film attention, and it gave the crew a morale boost. And more than anything, Warner Brothers was like, "Oh, should we do a test screening?"
Good. Yeah.
So they did a test screening, got the highest ratings they'd had in 15 years out of that test screening. And they're like, oh, we should like promote this.
We should do something with this.
So they say, hey, can we push it back a year so that we have time to do promotion? And Brad Bird says, he's like, I was angry, I was cocky, and I was tired. And so he basically told them, like, you've had 2 years to get ready for this. No, you don't get to do that. Just put it out. Like, basically, like, we're ready. We're done. Go. And so it gets released in August of 1999 with only 4 months of proper marketing. And there's this rap party where they're like, we thought we'd made the best animated movie of all time. They're like, we're going to get a lock for Best Picture at the Oscars. This is before the Best Animated Feature category. Yeah. They're like, we've done it. We've created a masterpiece. They're feeling pretty good. And then it comes out, it bombs basically immediately. There's I mean, like, people see it, but not a ton, and it really doesn't do well. And
trailer.
Yeah, so at the end, in the middle of the documentary, they show a trailer, Parker, and my dad joined me for the last little bit of the documentary, and the trailer is like, the newest thing in heavy metal is gonna rock our world, and it's like, and then it's like Hogarth saying rock and the Giant saying rock, and then it's like got this. It feels like a trailer for Cars. Like it looks like it's really bad.
Yeah.
And Brad Bird's like, I was very upset that they were marketing our movie this way. Just really poor promotion for this all around. So it bombs and everyone feels super devastated and defeated. And I thought this was just a little nice note from towards the end, is that Guillermo del Toro called Brad Bird.
Aww.
And was like, your movie, it may not do well currently, but this will pass for you. And is like, you've made a classic. It will live forever. Just shout out to Guillermo del Toro.
Shout out to del Toro, man. The best of the best.
The sweetest man
in filmmaking.
Certainly seems it.
Yeah. I mean,
amazing.
Yeah, it seems very nice,
really
and he
cool.
cares a lot about animation. Is that after Mimic? Is that after del Toro has made Mimic? I think
so, yeah.
Right? So, I mean, he can speak from experience, I suppose, at that point. But I just, that's kind of the trajectory of this thing. It is a incredibly rushed production with a mostly inexperienced crew making a movie that the studio doesn't believe in, that culminates in a major bomb, and yet my dad and I would posit it's a perfect film.
All right.
Parker.
Oh, is this where we pile on Parker?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Parker,
I had that in my notes, but I forgot.
I couldn't help but notice that before this watch, it was 4 stars for you, and it did go up to 4.5.
It went to 4.5 this time.
What's keeping it from a 5? You don't feel, because I know that typically I feel like we're on the same page. The 5 is for when it's a fantastic, basically perfect movie that also reaches an emotional, impact for us.
Totally.
And that just
it emotionally impacts me. It's the stuff on the periphery that keeps it off for me. I like specific. The thing that comes to mind is I get frustrated with movies that introduce characters and not give them anything to do. I don't know what the mom's doing here. Like the mom is just kind of not a character, and I wish she was, because I think there's interesting things to say around the anti-gun stuff. Like, her husband is, for what we know, dead. There's a photo of what we assume to be Hogarth's father standing next to a fighter jet. And so it's implied that he died in the war and things like that. And like, I would be curious to have more involvement from her in that regard. And I just think that, like, it's just little things like that. Like, I wish the mom was a little more involved. I wish it was maybe just a hair longer. Like, I wish we had maybe 5 to 10 minutes to let some of these things breathe a little bit. Then there was one other. I can excuse it from Hogarth's perspective because he is a child, but it does always baffle it does baffle me every time that they trick the military and they're like in a convoy leaving town, and Dean is like, yeah, go ahead and just play with the robot. Like, just get him out. He can play. They haven't left town yet. They could still see him if they wanted, but yeah, go nuts. It's fine. It's just that it's like those little tiny things throughout that don't quite get there all the way for me, which is, again, a personal problem. Has nothing to do with the quality of the movie. But
what's interesting about your first point is that in the deleted scenes, Brad Bird talks about a scene with Hogarth and his mom. And they have this really kind of sweet moment of like friendship. Like, she's on his side. Like, she just seems like a good mom who's supportive. And they do mention the father. Yeah. And it just kind of gives a little bit more insight into their relationship. Yeah. And once I never really thought about it until I saw that deleted scene. And I'm like, oh, that would have been really
I think that's the half star for me, is that it feels like there's a piece of the something here that's not quite.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't, again, like you're saying, Dad, I hadn't noticed until we saw that deleted scene. It's like the original introduction to Hogarth and Annie is them driving in a truck the night of the storm, and they, you know, she is, I can't remember, she's like doing an impression or like making a joke that like gets Hogarth to laugh. And it's a little, it's a very sweet moment of like them being friends. There's also an alternate version of that opening where on the night of the storm, Hogarth is like reading comics in bed, like with a flashlight, or no, like he's staying up, and then his window kind of flies open, and he comes in and closes it, and then stays to read comics with him, which I think is also a very sweet moment that I hadn't considered isn't in the movie until I saw it. And then I was like, right, we have no sense of their relationship other than standard like mom to son being like, oh God, come on, like you're, you know.
And like it's that you putting it in that phrase is codifying what keeps it from a 5-star movie for me, is that every other relationship is breaking out of what would be traditional animation tropes, and I find that relationship to be squarely within animation tropes, and I wish it wasn't. I'm just like, you could do more. You could do more, you know?
Yeah. There's also, it's really interesting, this is the only other scene, and I'd be curious to know if this is in the signature edition, it's the only other scene that Brad Bird talks about of the deleted scenes where he's like, that could have been in the movie. I don't know why we did it.
Yeah, they didn't have money or they didn't have time.
Yeah, they ran out of money or time.
Yeah, it was like, we wanted to do it.
Yeah,
which was this?
It's right before Dean goes out to look at the tractor with the big bite out of it. There's a brief scene of him in the diner with Annie and them kind of flirting very briefly.
Yeah. That's in the signature edition.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean,
which is something else. Like it helps a bit, but it still is a little. It's always a little weird for me at the end of the movie. It's like, come on, honey. I'm like, what are you, honey?
Yeah, how did you get there?
Fair enough. Hey. Fair enough, Parker. You've convinced me. This movie sucks. No,
that's exactly what I was saying.
And that's what Parker was saying.
Right.
Yeah, no, I understood you correctly and perfectly. No, but I think those are fair comments. Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Well put, even.
But all that to say, like, I think it's perfectly valid this is a 5-star movie. A lot of people think this is a 5-star movie. This is like what? Like 132 on Letterboxd 250 or something like that?
That's a good question.
It's
the
up
only thing
there,
I didn't take note on.
Which is surprising to me. Not because I think the movie's bad, but just that like that many people... Max, it is half a star off.
Parker, elaborate on why you think that's surprising. That it's
189. It's 189 out of the 250.
Thank you. You know I have to do the bit, Parker.
I know.
Come on, it's the only source of comedy in the show.
It's the only joke you have.
It's the only joke I got. No, but I think before we dive into summary, I mean, we could probably talk about it as we go along, but I'm just curious, like, what are our favorite moments in this movie? Like, what do we love the most about it, and what do we connect with the most? Is it the fact that it's a really cool version of the Looney Tunes rings on the opener with the satellite beeping, such a cool tone set, and then, you know, falling to earth, the storm, the old man in the boat, the giant lighthouse reveal? That's all fun. I imagine that's not the most emotional connective thing, but I'm just getting us started in summary.
It's good stuff. Let's see. If you've got yours locked and loaded, Dave, by all means jump in. I'm still thinking.
I didn't have that in my notes to have this ready to go, but
I probably could have talked to you about it.
I really like Dean overall, and my favorite part with Dean is when the giant splashes in the lake or whatever, and he just ends up in the road, and he's still just sitting there, and the guy's like, "Hey, you're in the middle of the road," and he's like, "Yeah." Like, I just love his attitude overall, and it's weird. My brain doesn't. I don't know why. It's weird that it's Harry Connick Jr. because I can't see him saying these words.
Yeah.
And I will say the same thing about Hogarth's mom too, with Jennifer Aniston. I think it's one of her best roles ever. But it's like, I just normally when you like know a voice in animation, that's what like sticks. And you like can see the actor doing those parts, you know. But like with that, maybe it's just because Harry Connick Jr. hasn't done that many movies, and I don't really listen to his music. But I'm pretty amazed. It's just the way Dean is written is just the coolest. Like, he's just the coolest beatnik, and he's like awesome. So
it's not too much as well. Like, it's not like, hey, cool cats. Like, there's a little bit of that, but not so much that he doesn't feel like a real person. It's kind of what happens with a lot of decades, I feel like. Like, when they make movies about the 80s now, there's like everyone is an 80s person where they look like they're from the 80s and they talk like they're from the 80s. When it's like, we were normal people too. Like, and I feel like Dean manages to avoid that. And it is interesting. The studio wanted, who did they want for, I can't remember who they wanted for Dean initially, but like Brad Pitt. They went to Brad Pitt. They went to like these guys. They wanted Schwarzenegger for Kent Mansley. And Brad Bird was like, there's a clip of him being like, I have to like go through all these people they want to go to just to end up with the people I want.
Yeah. I do. Shout out to Christopher McDonald as Mansley, because I think he's great. Like, genuinely, he is so much fun and is clearly having a great time in the booth.
He is. John Mahoney as well as the general.
Listen, I've been having a big Mahoney year. Like, he's been popping up all over.
You watched a lot of Frasier this year.
Well, I've been watching Frasier. He's in Atlantis. He's in Hudsucker, and he's in this. Wow. So Mahoney's been all over for me this year.
You should watch Barton Fink.
That's what I thought of.
Yeah, we've been watching Cohen's stuff this year, and he's in a few of those.
Yeah.
Hudsucker, like you said.
I love John Mahoney.
I have another favorite moment, but
yeah.
I think it might be someone else's.
Oh, no, go right ahead.
Is it mine? I don't know. Well, I
don't know, because it's kind of the main point of the film is when it's really emotional. It's still emotional for me. Just watching it the other night, it's just like when he's telling Hogarth, you choose. You know, I can't. Is that the exact phrase? I can't.
Well, that's when Hogarth says it to the giant, right? Because Dean has said it to him. Yeah. This giant laser gun barrel pointed at him, and saying like, you are who you choose to be.
Choose to be. That's it. And that impacted me so much from the initial time that I've watched it, and Max can attest to this. I've told him many points in his life when he's struggling with something or a decision to make. It's like, you can choose. You choose. Especially when he was little. It's like, you can be upset right now, or let's talk about it, and you choose. Do you want to be throwing a fit right now? You know, like it really just, I mean, it's so simple, and it's like, of course, yeah, you can choose. But in this, because it's such an important decision to not be a gun, like, it's just super impactful, and I still get a little, emotional about it, because it's just, it's such a plea, for like, stop this man, especially in today's world. I won't get into that, but it's like, I just want it to stop. And you're just like, please, you choose. Like, we can make a choice. A lot of people could be making better choices. Anyway, that's the other one that really has stuck with me. So. Yeah,
I can attest to the Iron Giant. I think definitely contributed to how I was raised, in a sense. Like, I think that those lessons would have been imparted anyway.
Right.
But what I mean is, like, this is what I think animated films can really provide, is a connection point for kids who are still growing to understand themselves and the world. And with the parents who see it with them, like, they're stories that they can connect over. And the Iron Giant became that for me, to the point that, like, I remember when I was in college for one of my courses, I had to come up with a code of ethics for myself. And it was like, talk about people in your life who influenced your code of ethics. And I was like, well, obviously, like, my parents. And from there, I just didn't really have a lot of other people. They were like teachers, scout leaders, religious figures, all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of my parents. And then, like,
the Doctor,
the Iron Giant as a character, Doctor Who as a character, the Avatar as a character, like, I was like, so much of my view of the world and kind of the choices that I make are based in what I was not only shown, but specifically, like, connected with my family and friends over, is what I think is how I would put it. Like, I'm not giving the credit to the Iron Giant. I'm giving the credit to my parents, but also it's a point of connection. And I think that those are important. I mean, that's what I think religion is supposed to technically provide, but for me it was like, no, we connect over these stories and these movies that I'm watching. And so yeah, I mean, I think like You Choose it's the heart of the movie, and it does mean a lot to me as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hadn't thought about that yet, so I'm glad you brought that up.
That's all very beautifully put, I think. Really succinctly wraps it all up there. I will say, not to criticize your parenting techniques, Dave, but I have found that Max is neither giant nor made of iron, so I don't know how much they achieved what you wanted out of him. So
Yeah.
It's high expectations, but
high, literally high,
Yeah.
like 50, what is it, 40 to 60 feet tall? That's how tall
Apparently.
the giant is? Yeah.
that's what we're told.
Fascinating little detail. Cloris Leachman plays the teacher in this.
Really?
Parker, you might have noticed she's listed in
I
the credits
didn't catch her. That's
as the
so
teacher.
interesting.
It's because she has one line.
Yeah, she just says
But-
Hogarth.
That's literally- But in the deleted scenes, Brad Bird's like, yeah, we had a scene where she was talking more, but we had to cut it.
That's rough.
He's like, she's one of my favorite actresses of all time. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's a bummer, dude. But
That's really too bad.
anyway,
As for favorite moments for me, I mean, you definitely have hit upon some of mine. Again, it feels like a basic answer because it is so load-bearing in the film, but I do, like, the deer sequence is really great. Like, genuinely is very effective, and, like, again, it's fascinating watching this giant, very basic geometric CG object emote when backed by monosyllabic lines from Vin Diesel, but it gets you. Like, it lands every single time, and you feel the weight and the sadness of, like, learning what death is and what a gun is, and, like, how that affects him is just fascinating. And again, I'm not going to say that it's a children's movie, because I think that's a really reductive way of talking about animated films, but it is geared towards children in a lot of ways, right? And because of that, the writing can be very specific in those regards, but I think it still works a lot with the deliveries too. Even the movie goes out of its way to spell it out, and it just underlines what you're already feeling. There's the scene where Hogarth shows up with the giant at Dean's, and Dean is freaking out about it, and he's like, you don't even know what it is. And he's like, it's not a it, it's a he. He's like, fine, you don't know where he came from. Like, the movie is very deliberately making that textual, of that argument of this thing having a soul and being a person. But unlike other films where the text is filling in a hole that the filmmaking isn't doing a good job of, it's just underlying what the filmmaking already put there. Like, everything
Right.
that is going on in the film is telling us that he is a person and has a soul, and the script just underlines that, which I think is a really good
Yeah.
approach to have. That I appreciate a lot. Let's see. I feel like there was another moment specifically that I was gonna shout out.
I mean, paired with that, Souls Don't Die
Yeah.
Yeah.
being another kind of core of the movie, of the giant learning about what death is.
Yeah.
And I really like kind of how simple Hogarth puts it, but also just like the way that he says, it's bad to kill, but it isn't bad to die. And like that being phrased in that way, watching it this time, I was like, yeah, I it's not something I'd ever considered, like that someone might be like, well, it's bad to, you shouldn't die.
Yeah.
But it's like, right, but it's like, we're not saying that in a way of like, it's bad that you did that. It's like, it's bad that you've been killed or that someone kills.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's a really interesting message to also impart upon this, living object, this robot that is also going to die at the end, briefly, like is willing to die.
Yeah, and he's okay with it, right? Like,
He's okay with it.
That setup of the talk about the soul, because he says it back, he's like, souls.
Don't die.
Like it, yeah. So it's like, he's going to do this, but he's like, but I'm going to continue living because I have a soul, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's for a kid's movie, that's heavy metal is back or whatever.
Absolutely.
This is
heady
like
stuff.
The newest heavy metal is gonna rock your world.
Yeah,
and I guess they were right.
I guess they did. The final thing I'll call out, just jumping off what you were talking about earlier, Dave, of like, you are who you choose to be in this idea of choice. It's a very small moment. It's literally like a line, but I do like when Dean is arguing with Mansley and the general, and he's like, General, if you shoot him now, the whole thing starts over again. And like, just that idea of conflict begets conflict, and that it's like, yeah, if you shoot someone, they're gonna shoot back. Like that is the way this works. And somebody has to say stop. Somebody has to do something. It's, Max, you and I talk all the time about that really great monologue in Doctor Who. It's like, at the end of all of this, you're going to have to do what you're going to have to do from the very beginning. Sit down and talk. Yeah. Like, it's going to happen, so why not just do it now and just prevent all of this in the first place,
Yeah, totally.
So I just like that little moment with Dean.
Dean's great.
Great
guy. Makes cool art. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Vibey
Parker,
dude.
you once said in your review, Dean is goals.
And I stand by that.
And you stand by that?
Yeah.
Dean is your goals?
Dean is goals.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Here's the movie.
And now the film.
Well, I mean, just kind of going through it kind of lazily, but not without care. Mm-hmm. Opening diner scene with Hogarth after, the giant's been revealed. I love the lighthouse.
The lighthouse.
Like him being
really
like, it's
cool.
the lighthouse. And then the two eyes turn is such a great reveal. Get to the diner, introduced to Hogarth as like, I have a pet in a box. Squirrel goes in Dean's pants. Funny. Good. A little bit of slapstick in there.
A little slapstick in there.
I, ever since seeing this as a kid, I've always wanted to try putting whipped cream in a Twinkie because Hogarth does it here. Does that work? Can you fill that with... I'm just curious.
I feel like it's not quite porous enough. Maybe it was at one point.
Maybe it used to be.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the America that we're trying to get back to from the 50s.
We'll do it tomorrow, Max. We'll get some Twinkies.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, give it a shot.
We'll give it a shot.
Report back to me. I'm curious.
Next time I'll report back on whether or not putting whipped cream in a Twinkie works. But I mean, I'm always a sucker for fake movie in a movie.
Yeah, anytime you do a fake B movie specifically is always a good time.
Darn, I left my keys in the lab.
I want to see that movie. Like, it looks so bad at like Mystery Science Theater.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So good.
A perfectly good brain. Wasted. It's fantastic. Brain humor, love that.
Uh-huh.
The other thing I wanted to note, I took notes while we were watching, and Dad, you did too, right? Just as we're going through the summary, I wanted to note 10 minutes in to the movie, Hogarth is approaching the flickering power station.
Yeah, efficient.
10 minutes. 23 minutes, Hogarth and the Giant are approaching the train tracks. And then 52 minutes in, the Giant sees the gun next to the deer's corpse, setting up the finale, basically, right? Wild. It's so quick and efficient. To your point, Barker, of like, we could probably put 5 minutes in.
Yeah, but like I think it is better to have too little than to have too much.
Yeah.
In instances like this. So
True.
like I appreciate the fact that it leaves me wanting more.
Yeah, definitely. I also adore the sound quality to the voices. Yeah. There's like a certain I don't know, it's not static, it's kind of noise. There's like a certain level of grain to it feels like.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. Do you know what I'm picking up on? Like, it sounds different than other animated voiceovers to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you ever go back to it, listen for that.
Okay, I'll keep an ear out next time.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Dad?
I can't. I mean, just overall, it feels like such a 50s film.
Right.
Yeah.
Of that time. Like, it's so well done, and the music fits perfectly. Mm-hmm. I like it when it's like in the background, but then it like plays out like it's continuing the soundtrack, right? And then we go to the next scene. But it's I don't remember any sort of it just sounds great.
Yeah.
Like
maybe.
The sound design, there's a few just like booms, and there's just the robot itself sounds modern, but yet it's isn't. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I for me, yeah, it is. All those elements for me just like make it a perfect film. But back to the diner. Yes.
Oh yes, the diner, and you know, and the squirrel and such.
Yeah.
And did you have any notes from that section, Dad? From that first
just
little section?
I mentioned earlier, but I feel like Jennifer Aniston. I don't really think about her in that role, and when I do think about her, I'm like, she's doing a great job. Like, it doesn't sound like her friend's character, right?
Yeah.
And genuinely, that's part of my qualm about like wanting to give her more to do, because I think she's doing a great job, and I just want more of her. You know?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Like, she sounds like, sorry, go ahead.
No.
No, I was just gonna say, like, she sounds exhausted.
Yeah.
She's a single mom. She's doing the work. Like, I don't know. I have no complaints with actually any of these guys. And the other note from that initial too was like, all these old characters, they just feel like Coen Brothers level character actors.
Yeah.
You know, the voices that they have is like, I rest my case. You know, like, there's just
all
so
these
much,
old guys.
Yeah, and I just feel like and all that gets, like you said, it gets established so quickly. That diner scene establishes so much, and it's really well done.
Yeah. So then Hogarth, you know, the movie gets interrupted by the antenna getting bitten, goes out to explore, saves the giant at the power station. Very cool. Love that. And, you know, wakes up the giant, dropping a rock down the throat. Sound design on that is really great.
Yeah.
It's intense. I believe that's the moment that always scared me the most as a kid, is when Hogarth's looking around and then the giant's head turns when he's, you know, hidden amongst the trees. Is really great. And then when they're driving away and he tilts his head and stuff. Hogarth has been moved up a year in school. That's why everyone hates him. Because they think he's a nerd and they think thinks he's smarter. His rant is really good. His rant is really good. Of like, if everyone just do the homework, you know, I just do the homework. But we also all, at the same time as all this is going on, Kent Mansley is being, you know, has been dispatched here. I love that cut of when the old guy is like, I called the government. They're sending someone right now. And then Kent Mansley arrives. That little scene with that guy of like, you know, we really think something took a bite out of the power station? Okay, whatever. He has this little line as he tries to get into the car. He's like, the biggest thing in this town is probably the homecoming queen. Oh my God. Like, it's great. His car got a big bite taken out of it. I love how Dean is like, well, I would buy it off you. But there's this big bite out of it.
I love that everybody describes it as bites. It's just funny.
That's why I'm selling it. It's got a big bite out of it. It's really good. There's yeah, I mean, then we get to, you know, Hogarth and the Giant befriend each other, goes out to look for him, they find each other, introduced, you know, rock, tree, all that stuff. Heading back, he's like, wow, I have my own giant robot. And tries to get him to stay. They're heading back. Train scene. Parker, this is my cue to you.
Okay, so there's one piece of trivia I brought to the table, which is, and you set it up so nicely. I was so excited when we got to the research. I was like, man, Max is just setting the table for me. It's perfect. So with Brad Bird's time at Disney, he hated the Disney higher-ups, you know, the people in charge, but he loved the people he was working with. He loved these animators so much, and he had such reverence and esteem for the old guard specifically. And a lot of that was a group called the 9 Old Men. Disney's 9 Old Men was a group of 9 animators. They were key animators through basically the entire, you know, golden and silver age of Disney before Walt died. And as Max mentioned, they're all retiring at this point, but had some overlap with this group. And he loves these guys. And so the 2 guys on the train are Ollie Johnston and Frank Thomas, who were 2 of the 9 Old Men, and they're best friends. These guys were inseparable, and they were very close with Brad Bird. And so they look like them, they voice themselves. Like, it's just a very fun little moment of Brad putting 2 of his idols in the middle of his movie.
Oh, that's lovely.
Which I love. And it, like,
that's great.
I always, like, just not knowing that, I still think that, like, I like their vocal performances a lot. They just seem very honest. I like Frank's quite a bit. It's like, well, you're never gonna believe this. There's a giant metal man. Like, it's really good. But just once you know that, and like looking at those designs as caricatures of these two guys, like once you've seen pictures, like, yeah, those are the guys, you know?
Wow.
And it's fun. I just love that little bit.
It's very fun.
They also show up in The Incredibles. They are at the end of the battle.
Yes.
It's the two old guys.
Applauding.
They're applauding. It's like, now that's old school. There's no school like the old school. That's also Frank and Ollie.
Wow. That's lovely.
Yeah.
We've just always loved the way that, I guess, Ollie says, "Go on, tell him what you saw, Frank."
Yeah.
It's like such a gentle. Nice. It's just such a a tender. Line read of just like, "Go on." It's really good.
It's really good.
Anyway,
that's what I had to bring to the table. I'll be leaving now. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
And that concludes me. I'm out.
And Parker's done on the show. My dad will be taking over.
Yes.
And that's 5 stars because he did that, right?
Yeah.
Gonna bump it up to 5.
Yeah. That's true. There's this line I wanted to go find and I didn't, but it's the way that Kent Mansley says, "Well, you're snoozing in your whittled jammies." Back in Washington, we're worried. Like the way that I can't remember the exact wording, but the way he says it, we're wide awake and worried. That's what it is.
His whole little monologue right there, I do really like quite a bit. Again, because it's really well performed vocally. It's super well animated. It has a wonderful fluidity to the way his hands move and his fingers gestate.
This is when they're in the malt shop with the milkshakes, and he's like miming the satellite.
But it also has, again, what I was talking about before, of a great script that is underlining the thematic elements, not filling holes that the movie isn't doing. He's like, who made it? The Russians, the Chinese, the Martians? I don't care. The point of it is, we didn't make it, which means that is automatically a good enough reason to assume that it's a threat. And like that is just a great thesis statement on xenophobia, you know? And it's just like, okay, here it is. This is the entire ideology.
Yeah. Wow. That is a great. I mean, Mansley's whole search, like him, it's a great character, great performance. Him showing up at the Hughes' house.
I like the montage a lot of all the names he's calling Hogarth.
Yeah.
Where you going, Slugger, Champ, Chief?
Yeah. He's great. I did want to highlight as well when they oh man, we're skipping far ahead.
Sorry, I was bouncing us around.
Is there anything else we want to talk about here? Like, I mean, you know, the dinner scene with the hand in the house as a dog
is really doing that on the toilet paper. That's another favorite moment. Just that little hand, little animation. It looks like he's looking over with the other finger, and it's like.
I love the way that the wrist wags. You know, wags. It's got that tail to it. It's
He's watching a TV with the finger.
Which
makes no sense.
No, of course it doesn't.
But it's just such a delight. It's what animation can do so well. Is just let's provide life into this thing that has no life of its own, and make it a dog. Why not? It's fantastic. I mean, the prayer, it's great. You know, Ken Mansley arrives.
Yeah, it does remind me of another favorite moment is when he they slam the bathroom door because Hogarth looks like he's going to the bathroom, and the way it just squishes Kent's face is the greatest thing ever. It just brought me so much joy. He's like, oh, it's like
I'm such a huge sucker for single frame, just goofy expressions they put in these movies. Again, because at the time, nobody thought we were ever going to have the technology to frame by frame this stuff, you know? So they're like, you can make it as goofy and extreme as you want. You'll see it for 1/24th of a second. Yeah. And then you could just lock in on that, you know, which is great.
Totally.
I also do really like his comment when Hogarth's just grunting and groaning. And I said, this is an important lesson, why you should properly chew your food.
That's a Bennion classic quote.
We said that a lot.
I'll bet.
All the time.
Anytime anyone's choking or nearly dying from food or drink, we're like,
that's good.
To chew food. The way that Annie looks at him when he says that.
Her expression just
very disapproving of that.
Shut
up. You know, Annie, my friend Annie, that I can talk about. Hog.
Hogarth. Yeah, it's really.
Hogarth. What kind of name is Hogarth? Hog.
What does he say? He's like, might as well call him Zippo or something.
Yeah. Man, is he the favorite character?
He's got such great little throwaways.
I mean, he's a great animated villain.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's a little different. He's very pathetic. He's hardly a villain, but he works so well. I mean, showing the Giant the comic book collection, comparing him to Superman, the little riff that Michael Kamen does in the score of like not specifically the Williams theme,
but it evokes
really
that.
kind of paraphrasing it.
Mm-hmm.
I think is really nice.
I like that a lot.
We get a Tomo mention.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have something to say about that later that my dad and I have noted about the film. So Mansley arrives. He's staying at the house. Dean. I mean, the way that the Giant says Dean when Hogarth's like, "That's Dean. He's our friend. We don't hurt Dean," and the way that like the mechanical like hum that they put when he says like Dean is kind of scratches my brain.
Yeah, it's nice. I do like that.
We already talked about how great Dean is. He runs a scrapyard and turns it into art, and he's a beatnik who lives in North Maine. Yeah, it's fascinating. How does he get there?
How did you get there, man?
Maybe he tried to do his own like on the road, like he read Kerouac and was like, I'm gonna do that, and then he just ended up stuck doing a scrapyard in
so
Maine.
Funny. That's another specific line delivery that I really love here is everybody points to the what you currently have in your mouth is art. Like that one's really good. I'm a huge fan of immediately following that, where the Giant goes, art. And he's like, yes, it's art. That's not bad. That one gets me. That one I really do like quite a bit.
There's so many. That's the thing about talking about these animated films is like we always just want to do so many quotes because the line readings are so specific.
The line readings are so specific and
nice.
They're so great. I like them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, spending time with the Giant. We get the lake, which is super fun, aforementioned. Also, I like the way that before they get into the lake, the way Hogarth says, "Welcome to downtown Coolsville. Population, us." The way he says it is really great.
Whoever this actor, like, he's killing it. Like, whoever plays Hogarth
really
is
great kid performance.
Really good.
Really good. Breaking of the voice, the almost puberty, like
Eli Marienthal.
Yeah, he didn't. He was in some American Pie movies after this, I think.
Oh, sure. He was in Jack Frost. The one where the snowman is so clearly supposed to be George Clooney, but it's actually Jack Nicholson.
Really?
It was supposed to be George Clooney. They made the puppet to look like George Clooney Frosty snowman, and he dropped out of the movie, and then it's Jack Nicholson. But the snowman still looks like George Clooney.
This isn't the Jack Frost. Isn't there a Michael Keaton Jack Frost movie?
Is it Michael Keaton? Is it not Jack Nicholson?
I think isn't it Michael Keaton?
It is Michael Keaton.
It is Michael Keaton. You are correct. Yeah. It was supposed to be Clooney. The point is, it's supposed to be
Jack
Clooney.
Nicholson being like, "I'm Jack Frost." I'm like, whoa.
Whoa.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's really funny. It's like it's like when they did the Hall of Presidents after the 2016 election, and for a while the Donald Trump animatronic was just clearly supposed to be Hillary Clinton. That they put a Trump wig on. It's really haunting and really funny.
So real quick on the I think it was around this point, Max, and I can't remember the line that the Giant says, but you were like, "This is the most Vin Diesel."
Yes,
like
it's a little.
It's the only point where it kind of breaks your mind.
It's later when they're playing with the gun, when Hogarth has the gun, and he's like, "Atomo," like, and the way that Vin Diesel says, "No, Atomo." Yeah. It doesn't. It sounds like Vin Diesel, right, Parker?
Yeah, it does sound like Vin Diesel.
It's like basically the only line read in the movie that sounds like Vin Diesel.
Right.
It's so weird. There's on the special feature DVD. I was like, maybe they have a making of on here. No, on the special feature, it's like a lot of weird little clips. One of which is the voice of the Giant, and I was like, okay, it'll be interesting to see this. It's like 4 minutes long, and it opens with Vin Diesel standing in front of like a green screen of like clips of the movie, with a little soul patch, and just being like, I really liked voicing the Giant. It was a real big, I wanted to be an animation, and the only way I could be a part of it is by giving it my voice. And then it's like Brad Bird being like, yeah, someone who worked on the film had a connection to Vin Diesel. And I saw a movie he did where he had this moment where he was quiet but powerful, and I was like, that's the Giant. And I was like, I'm still not convinced, Brad. It's a baffling decision.
It's such an odd choice.
In 1998.
Yeah.
To play
because this isn't even... Oh, hold on. Wait a minute.
It predates Fast
Is
and
Private
Furious.
Ryan out by this point?
Isn't that It's 98. 90...
7?
6?
It's around there somewhere.
When is Private Ryan? But like, was it Private Ryan? It's 98. 98.
Okay.
But they had already been. They started animating in 97.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Although I guess like the lines of it's not like how it normally would be with animation, where like you'd have everyone record everything and then animate to that.
Yeah.
Because with the Giant, you can just do that later. I suppose there's not so much of like his face has to match the voice.
Sure.
As much. Fascinating. It's so weird that it's Vin Diesel.
Yeah,
like,
it really
obviously
is so
now looking back, we go, yeah, it's the guy who did Groot. That makes sense. But it is like in 1999, you were like Vin Diesel. Mm-hmm. He does well.
He does a good job.
Yeah, that one line, no Atomo.
Yeah, that it sounds very, very Vin Diesel.
There's the Vin Diesel.
There's just a lot of gags. I wish I could mention every single shot in this that I love, but when Mansley's in the kitchen talking to the general, and the general starts laughing, and he looks over at the little like oven mitt that has a silly face on it, and he turns it around.
Turns it to the wall.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Oh, man. Sorry, Dad, were you going to say something?
No, I was just trying to remember other Vin Diesel movies that may have come out before then. What was... Riddick. Is that the one where he's like...
Is Riddick before this?
Is Riddick... well, because it's... Chronicles of Riddick is after this, but the first movie is called what? Dark something?
I'm trying to find it.
Oh,
Save Me... Okay, yeah. It wasn't, but...
Chronicles of Riddick is 2004. But so Pitch Black is 2000. So
yeah, I was going to say it's a 2000 franchise.
I think it's probably would have been Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Like it would have been like mid of production. I don't know. It's weird that Brad Bird didn't just say what movie it was. Mm-hmm. He says, yeah, I just saw this movie he was in. I'm like, oh.
I mean, there is a chance, like, you know, there's not unconnected Venn diagram circles of like, Brad Bird to Jeffrey Katzenberg to DreamWorks to Private
Spielberg.
Ryan, you know, like there's a chance he
that's
might
a
have
point,
seen.
DreamWorks did produce.
Yeah. Like there's a version of reality where maybe he saw some of that footage early.
That is fair. But yeah, so the lake, the deer, there's the moment with the deer. My dad and I got a big kick out of the way the guy says, because when the deer gets shot and then they peer in on the hunters, right before the guy says the line, I went, it's the monster. And like, and then the guy said it and I had just nailed it. And we were kind of like taken, I was like, oh, I didn't know that I knew that so well. Watching it this time, I really was like, this is the movie that I know basically line for line. There aren't a lot of those for me, but this is one that I'm like, I watch this often.
If we ever cover Aladdin, that'll be me. I've got that entire movie unlocked.
Bring Aladdin, come on.
Bring Aladdin.
Toy Story?
Toy Story at one point, you know, my mother tells a story about how from the ages of 3 to 5, I could quote the entire opening, like, scene from Toy Story where he's playing with the toys, like, word for word.
Wow.
So
what happened?
What happened? I don't know. Look, you didn't become giant and iron. I didn't become plastic. Here we are.
Look at us. I didn't get big. You didn't get small.
Yeah.
Quite the opposite. Parker's taller than me by quite a bit. Not quite.
I think quite a bit's an exaggeration.
All right. I mean, other major. I mean, there's the water gun moment, but even before that, when's the interrogation scene? It's before that.
This point, yeah, it's before.
When Hogarth goes home, and Mansley, like, chloroforms him.
Yeah.
That's a bonkers scene.
It's crazy to me, and it's a tough line to toe for these animated films of making the villain, you know, entertaining, but also making them scary. And a lot of animated films of this period fail at one or the other of that. They're either silly with nothing underneath them, or they're just scary and there's just nothing to be entertaining and latch on to. And Mansley does a great job of both. And like for the first 2/3 of the movie, you don't really buy his menace. You don't buy him as a threat. He seems kind of too inept for that. But just like, and it's not even the photos. You would think it's him finding the photos that like is the nail, but it's the twist of like what we could do to your mother. And like that whole thing of like, we could take you away, Hogarth. And like seeing how deeply that affects him already having lost his dad, that makes Mansley really scary.
Yeah, especially since, I was a kid when I saw this for the, in my childhood, which is when you're a kid. And I remember not really understanding what the chloroform thing was, but just, and like understanding like, oh, he's like saying like, I'm going to take you from your mom, which is a fear that I had. The most common nightmare I had for the first like 7 years of my life was being in a department store, and every adult in that store knew me, and they would say, you're alone. Your parents aren't here. Max, you're by yourself. Like, I think that is a core fear of children, is just like your parents not being around.
Yeah.
And so I understood that, but I just always kind of understood like what this guy is doing when he like, knocks Hogarth out. I didn't know what that was, but I was just like, that's bad. Like, this guy's bad news. This is scary. And I did always find that scene very unsettling and unnerving as a kid. And then that makes like when they do their stalemate across the hallway, it has real menace, because it's like the stakes are here, and like Hogarth really has to, as the kids would say, lock in. But clever, the helmet in the bed. I love the
reveal
atomic.
Of that is really great.
The reveal of that is fun. Morning, Kent. The wallpaper having the atomic symbol on it, and the way that fades when Hogarth is like going into that dream state is really cool. Good stuff. The army goes, they look at the giant. We talked about that.
Yep.
All the
Another
metal,
great
all
line read, that whole bit with Dean, his bullshit story about some venture capitalist. He whipped out his checkbook on the spot. And I say, whoa, you're going to have him for the rest of his life. I just gave birth. Give me time to cut the umbilical, man. It's great. It's really good.
Like he's even really just playing up the hipster vibe with the
totally
guys,
like
right?
he embodies that sleazy artist so well.
Yeah, it's great. And then and I mean, even just like the way he says the Metal Man, like like the way that Harry Connick Jr. good in this movie.
Yep,
bonkers. Yeah, and then then immediately after, you're right, Parker.
I catch on it every time.
The army has just left, and he's like, okay,
like not even out of town, man.
Not even like you can move around, but like you guys are free.
Yeah, go play.
To go play.
It's bonkers.
It is really funny, but then you get the big laser, and this is I think a point we can talk about. Recognizing this is not the point of the movie. What is your guys' favorite big gun that the giant has? What weapon is your favorite?
Oh, I think you know mine, Max.
I mean, it's
when he shoots that green blob
at the tank. Out at the Nautilus.
Yeah, and it just, where does it go? Where does it go?
The blob that takes the tank, and then the tank is just gone.
Yeah,
and it's just gone. Like there's guys in there. They're just gone.
It's one of those things that like they make a show of like, I think that one you see the two guys jump out, but the first tank he blows up, there's people in there. They didn't get out,
Wow.
like, which is kind of crazy that like they kept that little detail. And I was like, no, he's got a kill count, guys. Like, sorry.
Man.
I don't know. There's something about like the giant chest laser and then like the tucked down head in the dome. I do like a lot, just visually.
Yeah. I mean, and then that chest thing launches the big ball that goes out into the sun, into the horizon. Yeah. What did that do? Like,
killed a lot of fish.
Surely that has irradiated that part of the ocean forever. I don't know.
And then Rockwell could never be a fishing port again.
I like the spinny thing. I like that he has a spinny thing on his arm and a needle that comes down and like creates lasers off the spinny thing.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. Also, the big three heads from behind him and the way that they look like the 50s War of the Worlds.
I think War of the Worlds every time with those, that design.
I don't love that design for War of the Worlds, but I love it for 50s sci-fi, and it works so well here.
It's also the Godzilla creature, the one.
It's got some Ghidorah going on to it for sure.
Yeah.
I do, right before this is another one of my favorite moments in the movie of just like really good, like people always say that animators are actors with pencils, You know, like you are having to make those acting choices. And I love the shot after they've crash landed and the giant like tries to lift Hogarth's arm and it goes limp the same way that the deer did. And just the way he like falls back and looks around just like for anybody to help him. And he's just so upset and is crying over Hogarth. Like it's just, again, just really good physical acting there. Yeah. It gets me, you know?
Yeah. It's really impressive the amount of personality and humanity. It's the magic of animation. Yeah. It's, you know, it's like you said about Akira when we watched that for the show and you were like, these artists captured God with their pencils. Like it's unbelievable. I do want to shout out the dad of those two boys who are looking out across and they fall off the building. The giant catches them, lets them down, and they go, "Dad!" And I'm like, so the dad was just on the street? Dad
was doing nothing.
Where are your children? Dude, they're up on top of a building falling from a roof. Anyway.
Yeah, bad dad.
Real problem in Rockwell, you know? His parents, man.
It's my favorite Tennessee Williams play, Problem in Rockwell.
Problem in Rockwell. Very nice. Very nice, Parker, if I may.
Oh, thank you.
The coolest thing a robot could do when I was a kid was find out that they had jet boots.
I love a jet boot.
In Astro Boy, the anime that I watched when I was a kid, when Astro Boy finds out he has jet boots, I was like, that's the coolest thing that's ever happened. And when the Iron Giant found that out, I was like, that's the coolest thing that's ever happened. If I ever fall...
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's the same reason that canonically your favorite character in fiction is Shadow the Hedgehog for his little rocket boots.
I'm not a Sonic guy, Parker. I never played those games, but I am. But if I ever like fell from a high thing and found out that I had rocket boots,
yeah,
best day of my life.
Best day.
Easy. Just have rockets on my feet. Pretty cool. I also like the earnestness of Hogarth saying, "You can fly." Like,
yeah. Oh, that's genuine. Just feels so genuine. He's
so
excited.
That specific moment always reminds me of, I can never remember the actor's name, but Elliot in E.T. Like just that level
Henry
of
Thomas.
Like, Henry Thomas, that level of sincerity, you know?
Yeah.
That just is really working.
Yeah, absolutely. Man. Similar. You know, E.T. This is kind of E.T. in a way. So yeah, the giant goes gun mode. There's a few modes you can go with the movies we watch in this show. One of which is gun mode, the other which is baby mode, as I said in the 2001 episode. I like John Mahoney's general in this. I like the way he says, "Where's the giant, Mansley?
Where's the giant, Mansley?" It's really good.
I was going to just point out too the really scary scene with Ken when he chloroforms and stuff, and talks about his mom like, we could do something.
Yeah.
It kind of also sets up the fact that he would just go like nuclear. Like, we need to kill this thing and we need to do it now. Like, he's that just by whatever means, right? It kind of sets that up a little bit and feels that like it's believable. Even without that, you probably would be like, yeah, this guy's an asshole. He's going to do it.
Right.
But
I mean,
that menacing, like, whatever.
It does reinforce that because, like, I think it could be very easy for that final moment with Mansley to feel contrived, you know, because it's like, okay, why are you doing this? Why are you stealing the radio to call in a nuke? But I agree, like, I think it shows the lengths he's willing to go to, and like when you take a step back from it, it's like, yeah, like maybe we all should have been tipped off by the guy who thought it was okay to chloroform a kid, you know? Right. Like, I'm sure that this hardened general who, you know, is combat veteran, even he would have some scruples about that, you know, but Mansley doesn't, which then, like you said, Dave, I think does really make that final moment land and sets the groundwork for it.
Well, and what I like that I caught this time, I just always assumed he was like a, you know, FBI, CIA, but I like that he is specifically a national security agent. Like when he's talking to that guy and he's like, I can't say what name of government, you know, my agency is. And the guy goes like, you mean national security? Like everything from the ground up about Mansley is like, he is paranoid. He is raised on a healthy diet of only xenophobia from the National Security Agency, right? Like that is who he is. And he's desperate. And he is also terrified of this thing that ate his car and like is this giant thing. Like it's I think you guys are right. Like it's a well-paced breakdown that he's having.
Yeah.
To the point that you buy it when he takes the radio out of the general's hands and says, "Launch the nuke now." Like, you buy it. It's true. Yeah.
And then we get the self-sacrifice moment, the little voiceover of Hogarth as he's going into space of "you are who you choose to be," and then Superman. You know, that it works. Like, it brings a tear to my eye every time. You know,
so good.
It's really
it.
good. And then
for a long time, this was the best Superman movie.
Yeah, truly. Crazy that for a while Brad Bird had the best Superman movie and the best Fantastic Four movie. You know, kind of wild that he just had those two in his back pocket. Arguably still the best Fantastic Four movie. I haven't seen the new one.
Sure.
Yeah. So the giant explodes.
Yep.
In one of the more...
You stay.
I go. Yeah. No following. Yeah. Which is, again, E.T.
It's E.T., yeah.
It's E.T., and it's great. And there's nothing wrong with
boy and
being
his dog.
There's nothing wrong with being E.T.
No.
Let me just say that.
Yep.
And you're right. It's a great callback as well. Yeah, and then months later, the statue. And Hogarth has friends. He's well adjusted now. I also like that because I guess that does make sense. Like, if this movie is set in like October, then it's like, yeah, it's still early in the school year, earlier when everyone's being mean to him. That like by springtime, it's like, you know, you're probably
everything's
doing a
chill.
little better. Also, if you were friends with the big metal guy,
instant popularity
brownie
boost.
points.
I have a question for you two. How do you feel about the very ending of this movie? How do you feel about the reassembly reveal?
I mean, I like it. I think it's nice.
What does Hogarth say at the end? He's like, see
you later. See you later.
See you later.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just added hope. Like, it felt hopeful. And I don't have a problem with it at all. Like, I think it works, and it does get you kind of excited. And I don't feel like it's necessarily a setup for a second one. It's just kind of like, oh, Hogarth's going to get his friend back.
Yeah.
You know, like, see you later. Like, he's realizing, I'm going to see him again. Whether that's in person, whether that's whatever, I don't know.
I think in my perfect version of like what I would want out of this film, I think I just cut the final shot, because I agree. I like that moment with Hogarth, and I like the screw going off through the grass. I just don't know that I need the tundra shot after that.
You don't need to know that it was specifically Reykjavik, Iceland.
Yeah, I don't think I needed to know that. I didn't know it was Iceland. I didn't need to see the giant waking up. Like, I think I like the kind of ambiguousness of just the pulsing screw heading off into the distance, you know?
I don't know. See, for me, I just love the giant's big smile. I just like that he does a big smile.
That's fair.
I think that's I think it's just as sweet as that. It's just as, and like Hogarth's dad died. He was probably he probably died in the war. Like, Hogarth probably never met his dad, right? If this is
I was thinking about the
1957.
timeline of that today. Yeah, probably never.
It's like 1957. He's 10. Like, he was probably, you know, she was pregnant when his dad was over there.
Yeah.
Like, never met his dad. And so I think it's nice. God forbid that a child gets to have a friend who isn't dead. No, I'm kidding. Parker, that isn't an attack on you. I just mean that,
like, sounded like one.
Well, it's only an attack on you if you think that it's bad that Hogarth has a friend who isn't dead. Which is a weird opinion to have. Let me just say that. No, but genuinely, for me, like, I see that. I see where you're coming from. I think that's fair to feel that way. For me, I'm like, why not? Like, let's just get as much of this guy as we can on screen, because he is my friend too. And I like to see him do a big smile.
That's fair.
Do you wonder if it's pandering just slightly towards being, hey, we're still reminding people, hey, it's still a kid's movie?
It feels like that's. I think that's the thing that catches for me a little bit with it.
It does remind me of, you know, the way that Stephen Moffat talks about companion deaths on Doctor Who, where he's like, it's Doctor Who, no one can actually die, but then he's just constantly killing people and then reversing it in the most contrived way possible.
Yeah,
it does have that energy. The difference being, again, the Iron Giant is my friend, and
I think like I think that the only reason I have any sort of like pause about it is just that the self-sacrifice works so well. Fair. Like that entire climax is so emotionally moving that it feels, cheapen is the wrong word, but it undercuts it slightly for me. Mm-hmm. But again, I think you bring up a great point, Dave, that like it or not, it's just a reminder that like this is a children's film, you know, and like that is it's a apt ending to a kids film, and I think that works great.
Yeah,
but it's just that they reach such a high level of that climax, you know.
Yeah, the adult in me is like, yeah, just end it there. Like we don't need to see them coming together. Yeah. But the kid in me is like, I want him to live. Yeah, this is Hogarth's friend.
Totally.
And knowing that he is coming back together, it just kind of gives it that more simplistic, happy ending moment.
I can totally see that. So.
The Iron Giant abides, and I just feel better knowing he's out there.
That's right.
That's right.
Sometimes
that's what, yeah. The Iron Giant. The big iron.
Sometimes he eats you, and sometimes you eat. No.
No, I like it.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Any other thoughts before we head to criteria?
Do you have any other notes on it, Dad?
The only thing I thought of also was I got let go from a job. I guess it was 2008, 2009. So I'm looking for a new job, and I meet with my future boss. For a job interview, I applied at this company, and we're just talking, and we both are like, oh, you like cool music? You know, you just kind of get to the mojo kind of side of an interview, right? And he's like, favorite movie of all time. And for some reason, I just said, The Iron Giant. And he's like, right? And I'm like, it was such a connection to meet someone else my age who totally loves The Iron Giant and thinks it's like the best movie of all time. And I honestly think The Iron Giant got me that job. And I had that job for a long time.
Yeah, like
12, 13 years.
Yeah.
You know?
That's great.
But just having that connection with someone, we'd already gone through, can I do the job? You know, and then, but then it's just like, so what do you like to do? You know, that kind of talk. What's your favorite movie? You know? And he just was like, it was such a connection point. I had forgotten about that until just today.
That's great.
And I was like, that's the power of The Iron Giant.
Yeah.
Like if you get it, if people get it and you know they like it, it's a big connector, honestly. My other friend that I'm still in contact with, I worked at his company for a little bit too, but we had an idea for a kind of movie sharing app thing, and better than Letterboxd, I'll tell you that. But
no, I can attest to that. The idea is really good.
But we created a Slack channel and we just called it The Iron Giant because he loves that movie, and that was another big connection with him. It was just, and he's an artist, he's an illustrator, he's really good, and he's just like, that movie just gets me. It's like,
I mean, he lives in Maine now, right?
Yeah, I know. I think he moved there because of The Iron Giant. He doesn't admit it, but I think it's in the back. It's subconsciously, he's like, I love The Iron Giant, and that was in Maine. We must go.
We must go. Yeah, truly.
That's great.
I mean, he's got a similar figure to you, the one that we're seeing on
his is
even
his
bigger,
is
right?
Taller and has different heads or different faces and eye. Like
that's
that
pretty
one,
cool.
But that one was a lot of money.
Speaking of the eyes, one final shout out that I forgot to mention. I love the way his eyes spin sometimes when he wakes up. Like it just like rotates and just whoosh, as it opens. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's like, again, it feels like real mechanics in there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's kind of the other thing about him becoming the big gun is it's believable that all that stuff's in there. Yeah. Like, it's not so out of left field that you're like, well, how is he fitting all that in there? Like, there's some tricks in there, I'm sure, with the model, but it's believable too.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Giant's Dream. That's a cool scene.
Mm-hmm. Good scene.
That I've only seen the finished version of once, but it's cool.
We'll watch
Good
it
movie.
As we put whipped cream into our Twinkies tomorrow.
That's true.
Go.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Sounds great to me. That's a great evening. Yeah. Let's hop into criteria then.
Great.
All right. Historical and technical relevance.
I mean, like, you did a great job of kind of showing where it stands within a cultural context of the Disney Renaissance coming to a close, other studios trying to get in on that action, and then it kind of fizzling out before they can get there. I think there's an interesting argument to be made about the integration between 2D and 3D animation and where the industry was heading within the next 6 years after this. I think it would probably be a bit of a stretch for it to get the point over Kane, but it is, as far as cultural significance, it is only grown. I think it is one of maybe the best definitions of a cult classic. It is only grown in notoriety as it has gone, and now again has a 4.3 average Letterboxd review or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's crazy high, it's very beloved, despite being such a disappointment financially when it first came out.
Do you think if they had the proper marketing and stuff and had planned for it, do you think it would have more relevance, or do you think it kind of became cool to like it because it didn't, not everybody knew about it? I don't know.
I think it kind of needs the underground element, I think that's a part of the appeal of it. It's something similar that I think Treasure Planet suffered a similar fate and has similarly been reappraised by a lot of people of a certain generation for similar reasons, I think. And I think that part of that is that it's, Max, you and I talk a lot about this with Ghibli films of, we both love Kiki because Kiki is great, but also it's kind of nice to have an answer that isn't Spirited Away, you feel like you have a bit more of a conversation starter there sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think in that way, Dave, I do think that it being a bit more underground gave it some cool factor, Yeah.
I will say that one of the coolest things for me, I love Ted Lasso. I love the series, especially the first couple of seasons. It's so good. And Ted is got to be around my age or seemingly Gen X. And some of the jokes, I just feel like they write for me. But when he talks about, these grown men on the team all having a tearful moment because they're all in there watching The Iron Giant, I about lost my mind. I was like, he's showing these young men on his soccer team, on his football team, The Iron Giant to talk to their humanity. It's a less and I'm just this is my I who wouldn't do this? Ted Lasso is the coolest man on earth, and he's showing these guys and promoting The Iron Giant to them. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
I don't think that kind of would overcome Citizen Kane being relevant
sure.
and having that legacy. But man, when they did, maybe it was just an inside thing, but I was like, I hope people go figure out what The Iron Giant is if they haven't seen it because of Ted Lasso. But
yeah. Sorry, I'm laughing over here. That's a very good point. I'm laughing. I just want to highlight. I'm not laughing at that. I'm reading just a few more things from Wikipedia about the movie. One, this is not what I'm laughing at, but
you're not listening to me.
I was listening.
No, Max was just completely. I was here, Dave. Let's give. Why don't you and I do the podcast together? Let's. Yeah. Okay, that sounds great.
Last name's the same.
Yeah.
We could pin the the FBI fines or whatever for pirating movies.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll frame Max.
No one here is doing that. Let me just clarify that. A Plex server is different. He recorded this with the Czech Philharmonic. Michael Kamen did, and they didn't record it in the typical thing with cues. They just recorded the entire thing as if it was a classical repertoire.
Wow.
And then put it in, which is kind of interesting. Bird opted to produce The Iron Giant in widescreen, specifically the cinemascope aspect ratio, but was warned against doing so by his advisors. But he felt it was appropriate to use the format. 50s, that's kind of fun. He clashed with executives who wished to add characters such as a sidekick dog. They wanted to set the film of the present day and include a hip-hop soundtrack. Yeah, that's cool.
The Red Scare of 1999.
Yeah. Set to Shaggy. I don't know. Let's hip hop with the 99. Also, I want to clarify. Earlier, I said I mistakenly said that Brad Bird's sister took her own life. She was not. She was killed. So I just wanted to clarify that as well. And a little more elaboration as well. Ted Hughes wrote The Iron Man as a means of comforting his children after his wife Sylvia Plath took her own life, specifically through the metaphor of the title character being able to reassemble itself after being damaged. So I do think maybe that's carrying over from the Ted Hughes book. I
can see that. Yep.
Of like it's kind of an important thing to that. And then the last thing, this is what I was laughing at, is when some critics compared the film to E.T., Bird responded by saying, E.T. doesn't go kicking ass. He doesn't make the army pay. Certainly you risk having your hip credentials taken away if you want to evoke anything sad or genuinely heartfelt. Which is a bizarre response that I would love to know the context of, but just reading E.T. doesn't go kicking ass. Just like, why are you picking beef with E.T.?
That's so funny.
I would just take it as a compliment, Brad.
Yeah.
But all right.
Well, yeah, contextually, like, is this person who's interviewing asked him other like annoying questions or questions
right,
that maybe he might take personally to lead up to this moment of like,
so funny.
Regardless, that's great.
Yeah, I mean that's up there. I just love E.T. doesn't go kicking ass. He doesn't make the army pay. That response is up there with me for PTA promoting Boogie Nights by saying we should just be able to see how every character fucks. Like Forrest Gump, we should have seen how that guy fucks. Then you'll really learn something about somebody. I just love it when a director in the 90s is like, I'm going to say what's on my mind.
That no one's going to stop me.
No one's going to stop me. And I can promote it however I like.
That's really good.
Anyway, okay. So I would say this over. I was just scanning to see if there was anything else of like, its legacy, blah, blah, blah. But I still think overall it has a great standing legacy, but I think I'm willing to give Kane the point overall for me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. How well is this doing what it's trying to do? I would
pretty
argue
flawlessly.
Perfectly.
Like genuinely, I think it's doing a really, really great job.
Yeah, in what, 87 minutes? Is that what it is?
Yeah, 87 minutes.
Like, it's insane that it does. It seems, and even watching what was left out, like some of it should have been left out, but some of it may have been in it. But it's not his fault. To what he's working with, and budget and every time, I feel like it's perfect in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think it's doing what it's trying to do a little better than Citizen Kane is. Although, that being said, Citizen Kane wasn't put into Ready Player One.
You stole my joke. I've been waiting this whole time. I was going to say it. I was going to do it. No!
I'm sorry.
I was waiting. I was about to say that exact same thing. Yeah, I didn't say Charles Foster Kane fighting alongside Overwatch.
Batman.
That'd be awesome to see.
Wouldn't that be so cool to see?
Oh man, they should put Charles Foster Kane in Ready Player One. Oh, I'm sorry, Parker.
And
it's all good. It was great minds think alike. That's so
I was just
funny.
gonna say, like, you know, the Iron Giant was put into that movie, completely removing the entire theme and context of his movie.
It's crazy to me that he's in there.
Well, you know why? It's because they didn't have the rights to Ultraman, which is, I believe, what's in the book is it's Ultraman.
Yeah,
and they couldn't get the rights to Ultraman. And so then Warner Brothers went, well, we have the rights to the Iron Giant. We made that movie. People like the Iron Giant. And he's a gun. He's a gun.
He's a gun.
Yeah. Bummer. Anyway, so I guess, like, you know, to Kane's credit, he didn't end up in a movie where his theme was where he's like a really nice guy, which I guess would be the opposite of this.
That's true. You make a fair point.
Like, wow, it's Charles Foster Kane, our favorite guy. He's the governor.
He's
governor.
governor.
People would have been
now.
up in arms, you know. Like,
Yeah, it's
You're
true.
right. Yeah. If notorious film character Citizen the Kane was, well known. He's so well known.
Yeah.
By the general public.
When's the Orson Welles Fortnite collab?
I think it's closer than you think.
I'm sure it is.
They put one battle after another in Fortnite. Oh man. All right. Final criteria. Do we like it?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yes. I mean, I got you that job. Sounds like
huge. It got me a job and helped me teach my child some basic, fundamental things about life.
That's big. That's
so big. Huge.
Citizen Kane didn't do that.
No. Imagine
if I was... Didn't get me any job. If I would have said Citizen Kane, he just would have been like...
You're like, oh, one of these guys.
One of these guys. Did you look at the AFI right before you came in?
Congratulations. You have watched one special about movies. Congrats, you did it.
Yeah. The version of the Community IMDb joke where it's like, yeah, my favorite movie is AFI 100. That
all of those movies.
All of those movies. Those are my favorite movies.
Yep.
Some people really are like that, though. Some guys you meet in film school, you look at their Letterboxd top 4, and it's like The Godfather, The Godfather Part 2, Citizen Kane, Goodfellas. And I go, okay, so you looked at the list.
Yep.
You watched only the boy movies.
Only the boy movies.
Congrats. I mean, the AFI 100, is there any non-boy movies on that list?
There's a few.
Okay.
I need to go back, but not a lot. Okay, so points, criteria says yes. Taking a step back, what do we think? Objectively.
Objectively is hard for me. I mean,
Objectively, if I may, I'm going to say it is.
I would agree with you.
It feels weird to say it just because it is so subjectively one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's trying to do it. It's so efficient, and it's still so good. And the dialogue and the characters, other than Vin Diesel being Vin Diesel in that one spot, I can't. I think it's a perfect movie for me.
I agree. And I think that it's something that is maybe, a more subjective than objective point, but I'll bring it up here, which is that a yardstick I measure a lot of films against is human connection. What are you getting out of it? What are you learning from it? And hearing your experience with Dave, conveying that to your children and, this job interview and things like that. And then also just the stuff that we've talked about of the lessons that it is teaching you to the point that it can even get referenced in modern television as something that's being used for that exact purpose, I think speaks a lot to the effectiveness of the film and how well it's working. And sometimes people would argue it's well, that's unfair to compare older films against. They can't Citizen Kane is, 80 plus years old, it's not going to hit the same way. And my argument against that is that there are films, like It's a Wonderful Life, that still hit people on that exact same emotional level, that is still teaching somebody something about the human experience and touching them on that level, despite its age, that I think, absolutely, I stand behind both of your arguments here.
I do think, Parker, the more that we do this show, we're coming up on 3 full years, I believe, right? Wild.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
First I take your joke, then I bowl you over with that. I think that the more that we settle into this, the more I'm willing to say that the argument of this show is that, our main outlook on what makes the best films of all time is it's about emotional connection.
Yeah.
It's about that. That is what we prioritize more than anything, really. It can be a flawlessly made movie, but does it connect is the question. And I think a lot of people would argue against that. Even our criteria are technically, worded so as to say, well, what is it trying to do?
Yeah.
And oftentimes we still measure films by, well, but is it emotionally connecting with us? Even though, again, can't iterate enough because I'm anxious about it. I don't think Citizen Kane is asking you to feel. I think it's asking
love
you to.
this. I love these made-up
asking,
critics that you've invented.
I think it's asking you to think. But I'm willing. But all this to say, I'm willing to just put forward that this show, we come to this show.
Yeah. Go on.
I didn't mean to. I swear I didn't mean to. I didn't set this up intentionally. We come to this show to cry. We come to this show to feel heartbreak and see things that we've never seen before. Is that it? I should memorize it. That's Nicole Kidman AMC theater opening. I stumbled my way into it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I've been to an AMC one time. Man. Anyway, that
I would
my
agree
point
with you.
is made.
I think you make a great point there, and it is. Look, it's our show. That's what the show is. Sorry.
Oh yes, we got to the part of the show where we do defend our show from no one.
That's what I'm saying. I love this defense you have against nobody. I don't think I've ever seen an angry comment from somebody being like, "You guys aren't really giving Citizen Kane a fair shake."
There was that one comment recently. Anyway, we don't need to get into that. I refuse to talk about that on the show. All right. Well,
would you like to? I think Dave should say it.
Yeah, Dad. Would you like to do the honors of saying it's better?
The Iron Giant is better than Citizen Kane.
There it is.
Great. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Wonderful.
This was so much fun. Thank you for being here, Dave. Really enjoyed having you.
Yeah. No, this was fun. I probably only missed two or three, not just because Max is my son, but I really do enjoy your guys' podcast, and I learned stuff, especially when Max and I do watch something right before, you go on, and it's a privilege and a pleasure to be here. My pleasure.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you for being here. I'm really glad.
Thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Lovely. It had been maybe we spent too much time waiting to bring you on. You could have come on much earlier, but really glad that you did. Parker, to wrap up this kind of longer episode of ours, why don't you treat people to what they can expect next time from the show?
I would love to. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, we are going to be looking next time at Greta Gerwig's 2019 seminal classic, Little Women.
Little Women.
Which I am thrilled about.
Oh, wow. Yeah. We got a polite golf clap.
Oh, good.
So that's lovely.
It was more than a golf clap.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. No, I know. No. I've only seen that one time. I have been so...
Really?
Every time you showed it at your apartment, I didn't go.
Yeah, okay.
Half intentionally.
Wait, do you hate Little Women?
No, hang on, let me watch my word. I love the film Little Women, because because it's a great movie. But also, we saw that, if you recall, Dad, as a family on New Year's Eve 2019 at our locally owned movie theater in my hometown, and I haven't been back to that theater since, and I haven't revisited Little Women since, because part of me doesn't want it to be tainted by a post-pandemic world. So this is a big step for me, Parker. I hope you can appreciate that when we talk about it next week.
Yep.
Thank you everybody for listening, and thank you again, Dad, for being here. And we'll see you all next time.
All right, take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.